Racist white woman hits black man, she's shocked when he hits back. The slap cracked across Marcus Washington's cheek like a starter pistol at a track meet he never signed up for. It was 3:17 p.m. on a Thursday in late October, the kind of crisp Chicago afternoon where the wind off Lake Michigan slices through coats and common sense alike. Marcus had been walking south on State Street, earbuds in, humming an old Donny Hathaway tune, when Karen, yes, her name was actually Karen, barreled out of a boutique clutching a paper bag of overpriced candles. She didn't see him until the collision, until her latte exploded across both their jackets and her phone skittered across the sidewalk. "Watch where you're," the sentence died in her throat the moment she registered the color of his skin. Her eyes narrowed, lips curling into the sneer she'd practiced in private for years. "You people always in the way," she hissed, and before Marcus could step back, her manicured hand whipped out and struck him hard enough to snap his head sideways. The sidewalk froze. A teenage girl filming for TikTok lowered her phone. A hot dog vendor stopped mid-flip. Marcus tasted blood where his tooth had nicked the inside of his cheek. He was 42 years old, 6'3", 230 pounds, of former high school linebacker turned youth counselor, and in that single heartbeat every lecture he'd ever given about de-escalation, about turning the other cheek, about Dr. King and forgiveness flickered across his mind like a slideshow on fast forward. Karen stood there, chest heaving, waiting for him to cower. She'd done this before, smaller slaps, cutting words, the casual cruelty that never quite made the evening news. She expected apology, retreat, maybe a viral video where she played the victim. What she got instead was Marcus's right fist, a short, economical arc that caught her just below the left eye. Not hard enough to break bone, Marcus had learned control on the football field and in juvie, but hard enough to spin her half around and drop her to one knee on the cold concrete. The gasp from the crowd was collective, almost choral. Karen's hand flew to her face, fingers coming away smeared with mascara and the first bloom of purple. Her mouth opened, closed, opened again. You hit me," she whispered, as if the laws of physics had personally betrayed her. Marcus flexed his hand, knuckles already swelling. "Yeah," he said, voice low, steady. "I did." Sirens were still minutes away. Someone had dialed 911 the moment the slap landed, but the moment itself stretched like taffy. Karen's shopping bag had split, scented candles rolled across the pavement like escaped souls. One, a thick pillar labeled Serenity, came to rest against Marcus's sneaker. He stared at it, then at her. Karen's name was Karen Elizabeth Whitmore, 47, divorced, junior partner at a Loop law firm specializing in estate planning for the kind of people who summered in Door County and wintered in Naples. She had a Yorkie named Muffin, a standing reservation at Gibson's on Rush, and a private Facebook group where she shared memes about Chicago values that weren't subtle. She'd grown up in Oak Park, attended Loyola, married a man who looked good in Patagonia vests. The marriage had ended when he left her for a younger colleague who understood boundaries. Karen told herself she wasn't bitter. She told herself a lot of things. Marcus Washington had grown up in Englewood, attended a high school where the metal detectors beeped more often than the bell schedule. His mother cleaned offices downtown. His father had been a ghost since Marcus was 9. Football had been his ticket out, until a torn ACL senior year turned a full ride into a partial scholarship and eventually a degree in social work paid for by night classes and grit. He coached kids now at the community center on 63rd, taught them how to box anger into something useful. He hadn't thrown a punch in anger since he was 19. Until today. The crowd parted as a beat cop, Officer Ramirez, badge 47, jogged up, hand on his holster. Everybody back. He took in the scene. Marcus towering, Karen on the ground, latte stains like abstract art on both coats. "Who started this?" Karen found her voice first. "He assaulted me. I want him arrested." Her finger shook as she pointed. The bruise was already spectacular. Ramirez looked at Marcus. "Sir." Marcus pulled out his earbuds, slow, deliberate. "She hit me first. Open hand, full force. I defended myself." A dozen phones were up now, red lights blinking. Ramirez sighed the sigh of a man who'd seen this movie before. "Ma'am, stand up slowly." "Sir." "Hands where I can see them." Karen rose, wobbly in her knee-high boots. Something in her face shifted when she saw the phones, not fear, exactly, but calculation. She opened her mouth to speak again, then closed it. A white woman bleeding on State Street was one kind of story. A white woman who'd struck first was another. Marcus felt the old rage rising, the one he meditated away every morning at 5 a.m. He could have lawyered up, could have played the saint, could have let her narrative swallow him whole. Instead he looked at Ramirez. "Officer, there's a CVS on the corner. Security cameras. Check the tape." Ramirez radioed it in. The crowd murmured. Karen's bravado cracked. She hugged herself, suddenly aware of how many eyes were on her. A black woman in scrubs stepped forward, held out a pack of tissues. Karen stared at them like they might bite. The CVS footage took 4 minutes to pull. Ramirez watched it on his phone, volume low. Karen's slap, Marcus's restraint, 3 full seconds where he could have crushed her but didn't. Then the single punch, clean, almost surgical. Ramirez pinched the bridge of his nose. "Ma'am, you're under arrest for battery." "Sir, you're free to go, but I need a statement downtown." Karen's knees buckled. "This is a mistake. I'm the victim here." Ramirez was already cuffing her. "Tell it to the judge." Marcus watched them lead her away. The bruise on her cheek looked like a Rorschach test. He should have felt triumph. Instead he felt hollow, the way he did after losing a kid to the streets. He bent, picked up the Serenity candle, and tucked it into his ruined coat pocket. That night the video went viral. Hashtag State Street Slap trended higher than the Cubs game. Twitter split down fault lines everyone already knew existed. Karen's firm put her on administrative leave pending investigation. Her ex-husband texted her a single thumbs up emoji. Muffin the Yorkie peed on her favorite rug. Marcus's phone wouldn't stop buzzing. His boss at the community center wanted to know if he needed legal help. His mother left a voicemail that started with, "Baby, I'm proud of you," and ended with, "But don't make this a habit." The kids at the center reenacted the punch with pool noodles, laughing until they cried. 3 days later, Marcus was back on State Street, heading to a meeting with the alderman about funding for the center. He almost didn't see her, Karen, sitting on a bench outside the same CVS, no makeup, hair in a messy bun, clutching a paper cup from Starbucks like it was a life raft. The bruise had ripened to a spectacular yellow-green. She saw him first. Her shoulders hunched. Marcus could have kept walking. Instead he stopped. "Ms. Whitmore." Her head snapped up. They dropped the charges. "Against me. Said it was mutual combat." Her voice was smaller than he remembered. Marcus nodded. "They offered me the same. I took it." Silence stretched between them, thick as lake fog. A bus hissed past. Finally Karen spoke. "I thought you'd gloat." "I don't gloat. I coach kids who look like me how not to end up in cages." "Gloating doesn't help that." She looked at the candle he still carried. Somehow it had survived the dry cleaner. "You kept it. Figured somebody ought to get some serenity out of this mess." Karen laughed, a sound like breaking glass. "I was awful. Before. I am awful." She gestured at her face. This is the least of it." Marcus sat on the bench, not too close. "You know what I saw when you hit me. My dad, he used to smack my mom around when the bills piled up. I was 9 the first time I stepped between them. Got a busted lip for my trouble. Told myself I'd never be him. Then you swung, and for 1 second, he trailed off." Karen stared at her boots. "My dad used to say, the world's a pie, and they're taking bigger slices." He meant. She didn't finish. Marcus filled it in. "People who look like me." She nodded, miserable. Another silence. A street musician started playing, "A Change Is Gonna Come," on a battered saxophone. The notes hung in the air like incense. Karen spoke so quietly he almost missed it. "I don't know how to unlearn it." Marcus considered. "You start by listening. Then you show up. Then you keep showing up until the kids you scared stop flinching when you walk into a room." She looked at him, eyes red-rimmed. "Would you let me try?" He studied her for a long moment. The old Marcus would have walked away. The new Marcus, the one who'd thrown the punch and still woke up at 3 a.m. wondering if he'd lost himself, felt something shift. Community Center on 63 Road. Saturday mornings. We box, we talk, we eat donuts. You show up 3 times, no excuses, no camera crews, we'll talk about what comes next. Karen swallowed. 3 times. 3. He stood. And bring muffin. Kids like dogs. He walked away before she could answer. Behind him, the saxophone hit the bridge, Sam Cooke's voice echoing in his head even though it was only a recording in his memory. Saturday came cold and bright. Marcus was lacing up a 10-year-old named Jamal when the door opened and Karen stepped in, Yorkie under one arm, a box of donuts in the other. She wore jeans in a bull's hoodie 2 sizes too big. The bruise had faded to a faint shadow. Jamal squinted. "Miss, you got a dog?" Karen set the box down. "His name's Muffin. He's friendly." Jamal grinned, missing front tooth and all. "Can he catch?" Marcus watched as Karen spent 20 minutes on her knees in the gym, tossing a tennis ball while Muffin yipped and scrambled. She laughed, actually laughed, when the dog face planted into a mat. The sound was foreign, like a song in a language she'd forgotten she knew. Week 2, she brought coloring books and stayed to clean up. Week 3, she asked if she could read to the little ones during story time. Her voice cracked on the page where the lost puppy found his way home. After the 6th Saturday, Marcus had stopped counting at 3, she lingered while the kids filed out. "I talked to my firm. I'm taking a leave, indefinite. I enrolled in a restorative justice program at DePaul. I want to do this right." Marcus handed her a jump rope. "Prove it." 10 minutes, no stopping. She jumped until her face matched the old bruise, then kept going. When she finally dropped the rope, gasping, he offered her a bottle of water. She took it with shaking hands. "I was scared of you," she said. "That day on State Street. Not because you might hit me. Because you might not. Because then I'd have to admit I was wrong and nothing would change." Marcus capped his own bottle. "Change isn't a light switch, Karen. It's a dimmer. You just gotta keep turning." She nodded, eyes on the scuffed gym floor. "I still have bad days. Snap at cashiers. Clutch my purse on the L. But I catch myself now. That's something. It's a start." Winter turned to spring. The community center got new mats, funded by an anonymous donation Karen insisted came from a friend of a friend. Muffin became the unofficial mascot. Jamal taught him to high-five. Karen started a girls' self-defense class, teaching breathing techniques between jabs. She still flinched sometimes when a kid's voice rose too loud, but she stayed in the room. 1 year to the day after the slap, Marcus found her on the same State Street bench, feeding crumbs to pigeons. The Serenity candle sat between them, burned down to a stub. "Anniversary," she said without looking up. "Yep," he sat. "You kept the candle. You kept showing up." She turned to him, eyes clear. "I was a racist. I'm not cured, but I'm in the fight now. That's because of you." Marcus shook his head. "Nah, that's because of you. I just refused to let you stay comfortable." A pigeon landed on Karen's knee. She didn't shoo it away. "Think we can get lunch?" "My treat." No cameras. Marcus smiled, the first real one she'd ever seen from him. "Only if Muffin gets a pup cup." They walked north, past the spot where latte had stained the sidewalk, past the boutique that had replaced its window display twice. The city moved around them, horns, laughter, the L rumbling overhead. Two people who'd started with violence, ending with something neither had words for yet. Behind them, the candle stub flickered in a sudden breeze, then went out. The scent of Serenity lingered anyway.